I'm Nicole, and I'm going to share my testimony. Jimmy and we got married in 2006, and then 3 years later, in 2009, I had an appointment, and during that appointment, we were kind of wondering what was preventing us from having children and what was going on. The doctor had a few tests and procedures scheduled. They wanted to start with me and find out if there was anything causing the pregnancies to not happen. They were non-cancerous, but where they were located, they would block every pregnancy. They gave me the option of having a surgery to go ahead and take everything out, all the cysts and all the polyps, and that would give me a chance to have children. And then in the spring of 2010, I found out I was pregnant. Then a few days before Mother's Day, just about 2 months later, I had miscarried. That was extremely tough, and the hardest part was afterwards. Jimmy traveled. He was in sales. He had a wonderful job. And as he traveled, I found myself buying alcohol and cigarettes to just pass the time and just try to keep drowning things away and just kind of keeping up with appearances. Jimmy surprised me, and he came home early from North Carolina. And I just remember he just kind of looked at me, and I looked at him. I didn't know what to say, because at this point he had kind of figured out that this is how I was handling everything. And I just kept thinking, how did I get to this point? I slept on the couch, and then the next morning he got up early. He went to work. We still hadn't talked about anything. And there was a letter on the table as I went to go and get breakfast. And I looked at it, and as I was getting ready to put the letter in the garbage, I thought, I should probably open this. It was about 2 pages, and Jimmy just told me how important I am, how this is a hard time that we're going through. He's there to help me any way that he can and to encourage me, and that he's still believing and still praying that we will have children. I just kept thinking, I can either continue down this path where I'm just doing everything that I want to do, or I can get back on track and do what I need to do. I know I'm not handling this the right way, and I'm just going to start believing and praying and forget about what the doctors have said. I found out I was pregnant, and I was pregnant with Raylyn. Then at 41 weeks, they said, we cannot let you go any longer. We are going to go ahead and induce. Everything went well, and then 26 hours later, Raylyn had arrived, and it was so exciting. And then I looked at her, and as I was holding her, and as I looked around the room, I knew something wasn't right. The nurse got on the walkie-talkie, and she said, there's a code blue. And at that moment, about 10 nurses and doctors and everybody came in. All of these thoughts kept racing through my mind, all these what ifs, what could happen next. And I just closed my eyes, and I just said, no, God, fill her lungs with air. And right about the time they had gotten all the equipment ready, and they were getting ready to start like compressions and everything, the one nurse, I heard her say, stop. And she said, I think she's breathing. And sure enough, what felt like forever, and just continually praying, she cried. In 2014, in October, they actually scheduled the surgery again, because after that appointment, they had done some more tests and procedures. Sure enough, there was the cysts and polyps, and they were preventing pregnancies again. Then as the beginning of September started of 2014, I could not hardly sleep at all at this point. I didn't have any peace, and I was really concerned about this surgery. I felt a real big concern about it, and finally I just started praying. I felt like I was supposed to cancel the surgery. So I wake up Jimmy, it's like 3 a.m. He stays up and he prays, and then the next morning he looks at me and says, if you don't think you're supposed to have this surgery, he's like, I think you should go ahead and cancel it. So October rolls around. I find out I'm pregnant with Wyatt. And I am so glad that I canceled that surgery. Then after Wyatt was about 13 months old, I find out I'm pregnant with Jolene, and I'm super excited. And then in April of 2021, I found out I was pregnant, and I was pregnant with Garrett. That moment of walking in with Garrett in my arms and just seeing the joy that the other kids had, it was that overwhelming, that overflowing joy. We had never even dreamed that we could have this many children, whenever at one point looked like we weren't even going to have any children. And I am just so thankful for that. And I just want to end all of this with, if you're praying for a miracle, don't stop praying and don't stop believing.